So here's an example of a misaligned case, okay? Or a case where it's certainly not strictly aligned. So imagine we're in a case of law enforcement, and the slot is not going to jail, okay? So if we give the slot of not going, we want to give this slot not going to jail to the innocent people, okay? So we get positive utility from keeping innocent people out of jail, and we get negative utility from keeping guilty people out of jail. So the H's are innocent and the L's are guilty. Okay, so that's what we'd like to do, is the bureaucrat would like to separate the innocent from the guilty, put the innocent people out of jail and the guilty people in jail. Okay? But imagine for the moment that on average the innocent and the guilty have the same income levels. Okay? And everybody hates going to jail. Innocent people hate going to jail, guilty people like going to jail. Jail is unpleasant. No one wants to be there. Right? So in that case, on average the Y's are going to be equal, and the H's are going to be equal. And so if you start auctioning off who gets to not go to jail, you're not going to necessarily get the innocent people paying more. Right? And you might totally get some outcome that has nothing to do with justice, right? And put the wrong people in jail. In general, a lot of these things would look like law enforcement. You would say something similar for taxes. Imagine you have a slot that's like a tax-exempt slot. I don't have to pay any taxes, right? In general, we'd like to have probably poor people not pay taxes and rich people pay taxes. So we'd make the H's be like the poor and the L's be the rich. But if that's the case, then actually the rich might have more money to bribe to sort of get out of paying taxes, and you might actually give the slots to the wrong people. So the key idea here, and the key thing to think about, is when you move to a world where you're sort of selling these slots, right? And if that's what corruption is, whether you get kind of these gross inefficiencies might come from whether you're in an aligned case where basically the people who are willing to bribe are the ones society would like to give it to anyway, and it's all about transferring rents, or you're in the misaligned case where it's your willingness to pay is not necessarily correlated with kind of who should get the thing for society's purpose anyway, and then you actually give the slot to the wrong people. Questions? Yeah.
I'm a little confused because it seems like there are two different definitions of corruption going on. Like the empirical stuff was more like either just blatant stealing or like
yes.
sitting at your desk and not
Yes.
doing anything.
Yes.
Versus
Yes.
here, it's like an auction.
Correct. Great question. So you're right. The empirical examples I gave before, so you're absolutely right. And maybe I should change the lectures next year. So there's different kinds of corruption. The first type is kind of about graft, which is sort of about stealing money, stealing resources. And the second type is more about sort of allocation of things. They're related in that often in order to get the graft, I have to do some of these kind of shenanigans and get kickbacks and whatever. So they can be related, but you're right. I'm thinking about a different set of issues here. And you're absolutely right to point that out.